morning. I'm Specialist Henderson, and today I'll be giving you guys a brief on whether you should train or educate leaders. This brief is unclassified. Alright, quick risk assessment. Overall risk assessment is low. Just ask you guys stay awake, mute your microphone, stay hydrated. In case of a fire, take your nearest exit. And in the event of an active shooter, run and have fight. I live in Texas. We all have guns, so good luck. Alright, the agenda for today. Alright, so we'll go into the introduction, then we'll start talking about educating leaders, training leaders, conclusion, questions, followed by a quick AAR. Introduction. Alright, during this brief, I will discuss the importance of educating and training leaders at each level and my personal experience of both. Also, is it possible to educate and be poorly trained? And is it possible to be trained and poorly educated? The word is constantly evolving. As a leader, it's important to be both, right? So we know that a lot of technology is coming out, new software, new data, new cell phones. People learn how to work their iPhone in all of 10 minutes. Galaxy, people learn how to work that in all of 10 minutes, right? So it's best to be educated and trained on everything you do, so that way you have a working knowledge of what should happen and how you should do it. All right, so two quick parables I want to talk about. Sure, we may have heard the first one. Chances are you probably heard the second one. All right, the first one. When planning for a year, plant corn. When planning for a decade, plant trees. When planning for life, train the educated. All right, the next one is give a man a teacher and he'll learn many a thing. Teach a man to learn and he'll learn from everything. All right, so both of these are two different parables, but they both have their way about going, about you being educated and trained. That one started off with plant corn. The other was talking about a teacher, right? But at the end of both, they talk about being trained and educated, and that's what we want. All right, so the next thing I'll talk about is the STEP. All right, stands for Select, Train, Educate, and Promote. All right, Select, Train, Educate, and Promote, also known as the STEP, is a policy that represents the Army's investment in soldiers, professional military education through a deliberate, continuous, and progressive process. All right, so the selection process. During this process, basically, you've met everything to be considered for promotion. Passing PT, qualified on the M4, your unit sees something in you that says you should advance to the next grade. You have the time and grade, things like that. All right, next we have training educated, right? Just like you go to basic training, you get trained and you get educated, and then when you go to AIT, like for me, for example, I'm a 4th Reserve, so we have to get certified on call on fire, and that's a continuous process. Then it talks about validation of being qualified, right? So when they give you that certificate, just like DLC, we all hope to get that 1059. So once you get that, that's saying that you've been trained and educated on basically entry level NCO business. All right, next we talk about promote. Promote, in this step, you met all the qualifications to actually put on that new rank, right? You've been to the schools, you knock out your DLCs, PTs, M4s, whatever else your unit would like for you to qualify on or you to complete in order to get your next rank, right? Time and grade, all that good stuff. Now you just pin on that rank in the promote stage. All right, next we'll be talking about educating leaders. Education is defined by the Army as a structured process to impart knowledge through teaching and learning to enable or enhance an individual's ability to perform in unforeseen situations, right? So how does the Army educate soldiers? How do they educate leaders? All right, they do it through DLC, right? DLC is basically your course that you got to take in order to go to an NCO academy. All right, next after that, your NCO academies, you have BOC, AOC, SLC, MLC, the Sergeant Major's Academy. All right, so each one of these academies is geared towards something different, right? BOC, teaching you how to become an NCO, how to talk to soldiers, how to handle soldiers, having interpersonal communications, like filling out counseling statements. So you're being trained and educated on both technically. Like I said, each one is geared towards a different education process for that rank. All right, so next, I put a quote in here because I thought it was perfect. It's by Wendell Willkie. Basically, he said, education is the mother of leadership. That kind of sums up everything, right? So in the education phase, this is where you learn how to build leadership, right? Whether it's from your interpersonal skills, your communication skills, filling out paperwork, all that good stuff, right? All right, so next, we'll talk about training leaders. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines train as to teach so as to make fit, qualified, or proficient. All right, so what are the importance of being trained, right? So let's say, for instance, I have this brand new gun in front of me. Never shot a gun in my life. For instance, if I never shot a gun in my life, how do you know how to operate that system without being trained, right? I mean, at that point, it's kind of, I mean, you're better off with a stick because you know how to operate a stick. You're trained on a stick, just swing it, right? All right, so the importance of being trained is for you to be able to do your job, basically. How does the Army train leaders? They do it on online training, where you have taken cyber awareness, your JKO courses, a lot of them are training certificates, right? So a lot of that good stuff, PowerPoints. The military does a lot of PowerPoints, whether it's your sharp PowerPoint or, you know, things like that. All right, another way they train soldiers, say basic training, for example. The engagement skills training, your EST machine. All right, basically that's a machine, a simulator with the M4, not live rounds, just a simulator where soldiers go to learn how to operate the M4 before they go to a live firing range, right? This is pretty critical. It feels the same, weight feels the same. You still do all the regular principles you would if you were shooting live fire yourself, a real live doesn't need jet. Gunner simulator. All right, I'm a Ford observer. They put us all in the B-5 vehicles, Bradley fighting vehicles, which is a Bradley tank. All right, so before we could actually put hands on there, I was the gunner in my Bradley. Before I can actually physically shoot rounds out of the Bradley, we went through a simulator. Sitting at a desk, but the setup is kind of how it's displayed in the torrent. The way you transverse the torrent and all that good stuff is the same. It's just that you're getting a feel for it, you're getting the verbiage, the terminology, how you should call everything before you actually get into it and start the whole live process. I went through gunnery EST again on the Chinooks, shooting 240. Simulated process. You put on a whole headset just like you in the back of Chinook. You learn the terms, you learn the verbiage. You actually load, unload. You actually, it's simulated where you're shooting targets on the ground too. So that's another training process that the Army uses. All right. So big debate, right? Are leaders born or are they made? Well, some believe that true leaders are born that way. Some believe they are educated and trained to become leaders. Best estimate offered by researchers that leadership is about 1/3 born, 2/3 made. To expect that a person would be born with all the tools needed to lead just doesn't make sense, right? There's always education of how to be a leader, training on how to be a leader, right? Yeah, some people are just like being an athlete, right? Some people can excel in sports. Some people have to be taught sports. But at the end of the day, that person who excelled in sports also had to learn what a 24 glass was, or Georgia blindside reverse from Remember the Titans, like your life depended on it, right? All right. Thought it was a good quote right here. Vince Lombardi once said, "Leaders aren't born, they are made, and they are made just like anything else through hard work." I mean, that statement is self-explanatory. To do anything in life takes hard work, right? You gotta work at it, you gotta hone in on your skills. All right, so in conclusion, we have discussed educating leaders and training leaders. A leader must be educated and trained in order to be the most effective. They must go hand in hand. Training and educating leaders is a method the Army can ensure leaders are proficient in their jobs. However, experience is something that cannot be taught or trained, right? Experience, best teaching. Any questions? All right, no. All right, quick AR. What was supposed to happen? What did happen? All right, let me get some sustains. All right, let me get some improves. All right, so that concludes my brief for today. Thank you.